Hey guys, welcome back to the channel here. We're getting ready for the train show here, and I went and splurged. I got me a couple new cars here. This is the new PFE Freight Sounds car. So this is a non-vision line version. Got thumb tab couplers on it, and go ahead and see how it sounds. A little bit lighter color, I think, on the orange and on the brown. So it look a little different than all the other cars Lionel's put out here recently, but we'll see how it sounds with the rest of the train show. And then I also went and got the new Challenger caboose. Thought it looked pretty cool, and of course it's got that LED lighting in there like my other UP CA4 caboose. So we gotta get that fixed, and I got something kind of different to do that on, a little bit quicker than that last video I tried to make on it. So go ahead and take a look at that, and I might find a couple other things to show you guys. Let's get started. Okay, as you can see, I already got the caboose apart and everything. This is all still loose. Got my board set up in here. A little bit of electrical tape on the bottom there, that way it doesn't short out or anything. I also got a coating on the back of this board to help, just another insulator, make sure I don't short nothing to ground. This is painted, but if anything ever scratched off, that frame would be grounded. But anyway, on our board here, let me see if I can't move some stuff out of the way here. Again, trying out this new camera, so we're going to try zooming in here. Just to focus a little bit. As you can see, everything on the top of this board here, got my capacitors a little close, so that one's a little tilted, not the end of the world. That resistor back up in there, it actually has the holes are in the wrong, or small and a little close together. That's a small resistor, so it worked out, but all my other ones aren't. So if I ever do another run of these, I have to fix that. And then of course the Zener's up there, and I got a bridge rectifier right down there. Probably overkill with the bridge rectifier, like I did with the last one. If I ever did another run of these, probably just go ahead and put a single rectifying diode in there. But yeah, real neat, and got a little box down here with some text, as when I designed the board and everything. That's a little small. Didn't quite realize that. So, but it's real nice. Okay, here's my other two boards. I got 3 boards in this prototype run. On the left is what I'm considering the front, and the right what I'm considering the back. The front is kind of what goes up inside, where the capacitors sit, and everything sits up inside my caboose plastic fitting or whatnot. The back, of course, is what sits down on the frame. Of course, that's why I got that electrical tape down there, just in case anything would ever possibly try to short out. I don't want that happening. Yeah, they're really neat. They're purple, not a big deal. Don't ever see them, except for now. And made in the USA, so that's always a great thing. Of course, probably about the only way to do it, with being a small run of just three boards, but really neat deal. Okay, we got the caboose back together. I went to the train show and everything. It worked great, of course, and it's a great upgrade and everything. I did have one issue. It was that when I went to go put everything back together, the plastic molding on the inside there that holds our figures and everything, that when I took the screws out, they're little machine screws, and plastic came out with them. So the holes got bigger. Well, now the threads aren't going to hold on to anything because there's not enough plastic there to hold on to. So what I ended up doing in one hole was I went ahead and put in, filled it up with super glue, let that dry. Then I went to my local hardware store. I looked up on Lionel's service website, saw that there's supposed to be a number 2 type screw. I think those are I'd be honest, I don't remember the length. I would just be guessing. Anyway, went ahead. They're probably like 732, or no, that ain't right. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, went to the hardware store, got the next size longer screw, and number 2 screw. These are them little bitty things. These are a Phillips head type. They're more of a sheet metal type screw rather than a machine screw, which Lionel had in there. That way I could, with that point, I could screw through that dried up super glue. And that worked out great, so I got all that back together in time for the show. And it was pretty cool. So I'll go ahead and add track power. That way you can see everything with the body on the car, on the caboose here. Okay, and of course we got track power on the track. Let me go ahead and turn out the lights. That way you can see it then. Lights are out. Of course the camera's going to jump around a little bit there. And it looks great. Let me go ahead and kill track power here real quick. Track power's off. I have my older caboose that I did this to, and lights are just now dimming out on it, and these are still kind of going. So, works out great. I'm just kind of going around and catching everything I can possibly think I haven't shown you guys. And this is something I got back in May when these delivered. This is the big LED flag cars that Lionel put out in the to be honest, I don't remember which catalog it was, but that's a really cool car. Paint and everything looks great on it. The LEDs, I'm sure by now you guys probably seen a couple of them. They're not the brightest thing in the world, but they are really cool, especially when you kind of turn the lights down a little bit. Makes them look really cool. So one of the things I did with this car the second I got it is, again, I put in some capacitors and everything. That way the LEDs don't flicker. It drives me crazy, to be honest. And so that's why I went ahead and did that. There's more than enough room on the inside of these cars here to be able to do that. One of the other things I found just in my crappy little circle I have here is that when I would back up a train. Let me go back a second. The reason why I was wanting this particular car was to go on the front of my excursion train. I thought it'd look kind of nice. Nothing prototypical or anything about it, but I thought it'd look really cool. Steam program box car and everything. I thought it'd look really great, kind of like a 2-car type deal. But when I would back up the train on these curves, the trucks would jump, and then you would have issues, short out and stuff like that. And that's just on my crappy little circle here, and this is 099 at that. So what I ended up doing is I went and got me some car weights, and this is what I got, a bunch of little half-ounce iron weights, and I went ahead and weighted down each end of the car equally. I actually ended up putting in a whole pound to that car to keep it from jumping the rails around curves when you're pushing on it. It's really odd, but that's just kind of how the physics worked on it. So there's 8 ounces in each end of the car. Makes it really, really nice, hefty feeling car. Okay, give me a second and I'll go ahead and turn on track power. That way you can see how these look. Okay, of course they're up all the way. I don't know if you can see very well. I'm going to turn the lights out. See what we see then. Not a whole lot to see there. But they're really cool, and whoop, kick the camera. If I go ahead and kill track power now, track power's off. As we can see, our LEDs are still on. Really cool. Okay, one other thing I wanted to show you guys is something I've been kind of working on here. For the hobby shop, if you watched that review with the Wichita Toy Train Club, you would have seen that or at least heard that we were thinking about setting up a timer type deal for it, and this is the accumulation of that. After kind of looking around on stuff, see if there was anything pre-made or anything like that. There wasn't really anything that would match what we needed to do. Basically run off track power, or anywhere from about 8 to 18 volts. So between me and my dad, we came up with this, and of course we started out on breadboard. This is kind of the prototype type deal here. Did try it out at the train show. This video kind of got made within the weeks before and after the train show, so we did try it out at the train show, and didn't have all the connections correctly to be able to actually set a button out for the kids to be able to press. But every time I walked by it, I went ahead and triggered it and made trains go around in the hobby shop and stuff. But anyway, so I do have a burning switch tower, and since I have that, I figured I kind of set it up and kind of show you guys kind of the operation on this. So I got the switch tower actually powered through the accessory of a CW80 off to the side, and I got this timer set up through track power. So let me go ahead and bring up track power off the CW80, and that blue LED will come on. That is actually kind of a power LED. If there's not enough voltage, it won't be on, or be barely on, and that's just kind of an indicator. The big deal on the voltage wise is whether or not we have enough to make that relay trigger, and that's really the only issue with it. So we'll go ahead and bring it up. You can bring it up the whole way. Doesn't make any difference. But anyway, so the way I got this set up currently is I still have my light and smoke on a switch. So we'll go ahead and turn on the lights. Of course, you could have it set up however you want it, and I got these two wires right here. If I go ahead and I trigger this, that activates my relay. Of course, I had this other switch off by accident, and our action starts. So whenever the yellow LED is on, we got our LEDs backwards on this board, but whenever the yellow LED is on is when our relay is triggered. So I can go ahead and I can actually adjust our time here, however long that stays on, and kill it. And the green LED is off time. It is the time in which that the trigger you are not able to actually trigger the timer. So if I go ahead and do this again, let it go for a little bit. Just speed things up. I'm going to turn this down, make it trip quicker. Now you see that green LED's on, and it's no matter how much as long as that green LED's on, I can't make that yellow one come on. When that green LED goes off, our yellow one does come on. And the reason we just try to do stuff a little bit simpler on this particular board, that's the reason why the green and blue LEDs alternate. They still power from each other, but if we came up with an actual prototype, it wouldn't be that way. I'm going to go ahead and kill that light and smoke, just that way we don't build up in here. So based off that, you guys seen the caboose board that I came up with to put inside my caboose for my LEDs and everything. So I did come up with this one, and it's a neat little deal. Same deal here, and really mainly what I ended up using this for was to know whether or not the program I was using, if I got all my hole spacing right, kind of like with the caboose. And of course, come to find out, there was a couple spots that I screwed up on, such as the transistor, that's wrong pattern, along with the trim pots, those are too small, but other than that, everything seems neat. the other thing we were thinking about on this was we were thinking about trying to set up a way where you could trigger the timer from a block. That way, if you had an accessory or something you wanted to go off through some blocks you have on your layout, you could go that way too. But that was kind of just a thought. If you guys have any ideas or suggestions on this before we go full on with this, the idea is, since we're coming up with this, I may make 25 or 50 of them if there's actually need for them. I might make a couple more, get some boards printed, and I can get them put out. So let me know what you guys think. Okay, so last couple other things on this timer here is, so the thought process behind the off time, it's not necessary for a lot of things, but we got a lot of post-war accessories on our modular layout. So what it's really there for is for stuff like the water tower, or the crossing gate, or a something with a solenoid in it that just gets activated and there's some sort of motion, and that way we don't get somebody over there and just rapidly hit that button, and then like the gateman with the lantern there at the crossing or whatnot. He flies out there and he goes back and forth, 9 times out of 10 he gets stuck after you sit there and hit on him about 20 times in a second. So what that off time will do is, after you trigger it and release, you go through your on time. Then once it hits that off time, you can't hit it again until that off time goes away. Doesn't have to be very long, but it's there. Or something like burning switch tire. That way you have a kind of a cool off period for it. That way you don't accidentally re-energize it when it's still really warm. Then one other thing is, currently how the trigger for the original circuit works is, after you engage it, if you sit there and hold, or you continue that short to trigger on the button or anything like that, it starts the time immediately, but at the time expires, while you're still holding on that button, the relay will still stay engaged. But the second you let up, it'll go ahead and flip right over to your off time, which for a lot of things isn't a big deal. But there's a couple accessories, kind of like the motion on the burning switch tire. You kind of want the guy on the stairs to end up at the top. That way you don't have a bunch of tension on that mechanism or anything like that. So we're also working on a one-shot type deal. That way, if you wanted to, you have an option to, after you trigger it, you can't, by sitting there holding it, accidentally increase the time of the timer or anything like that. And then I think, as I mentioned earlier, we were also talking about going off blocks. So a couple other things to look at on this before we go full blown into it. But if you guys have any other suggestions, please let me know. Thanks. Okay, so in the process of making this video, the Challenger came back from Lionel with the new updated sound file and everything. So got it on the track here. This would be the second time I fired it up. The first time fired up, found out I needed to reprogram the engine number on it. So go ahead and fire it up the first time I heard the new sounds on it. Add track power.
Yard office to the 3985.
3985 answering. Go ahead. Over.
Get her set up and running. Your train will be ready at 17:30. Over.
Sounds good. 3985 out. Engine 3985 to the dispatcher. Heading for the Y. See you tomorrow. Out.
Okay, well, that sounded great. So sounded and spoke great still. So great locomotive, and Lionel did a fantastic job on taking care of the issue that arose and got it back in a timely manner. Okay, well, that about wraps it up for this here video. Got the Challenger back, got some constant LEDs and some cars, so good couple of weeks here. I guess one last other thing is just thought I'd point out is I got a while back I got a Legacy set off eBay for a fairly cheap price. I had some issues with it, and I sent that into Lionel, and they want you to play with your trains. So Lionel took it in, paid for the shipping there, fixed it, and sent it back to me, no charge. So the issue was, though, originally, is this top screen here. Backlight would come on, but no display or anything like that. So probably just something as simple as a loose connection in there somewhere, but they took care of that. And then a little bit older version, so got the charging circuit on the 991 base updated. That way don't have any issues with that down the road. And here at the end here, I'll throw in a couple of shots from the train show. Hope you guys enjoy.